Okay. Good morning. Welcome to our Educational Horizon channel. Today we have Dr. Richard Cash, and he is going, yes, hello. He is going to talk about differentiated up. Differentiating up using the enrichment, extension, and enhancement as E3 model. Dr. Richard has worked in the field of gifted education for over 25 years. His range of experience includes teaching at the elementary and middle school levels, as well as the college level. Most recent, he served as director of gifted programs for the Bloomington Public School in Minnesota. Dr. Richard received his doctorate in the educational leadership and a master's degree in curriculum and instruction for the University of St. Thomas in Minneapolis, both with a focus on gifted education. Richard services various boards and associations as the World Council on Gifted Education, ASCD, and the National Association for Gifted Children, NAGC. His consulting work has taken him throughout the United States as well as into Canada, the Czech Republic, China, England, and the Dome of the Saudi Arabia and other countries. His area of expertise are educational programming, rigorous and challenging curriculum, design for gifted students, differentiated instruction, the 21st century skills, and brain-compatible classroom and self-regulated learning. Dr. Cash authored the book Advancing Differentiation, Thinking and Learning for the 21st Century. It was published in 2001. His newest book, Differentiation for Gifted Learners, Going Beyond the Basics. It was published in 2014. He is very active in gifted education. He talks about different topics in gifted education. For example, he talks about thinking and learning for the 21st century. And also he is talking about motivation, self-regulation, the foundation of learning, autonomy, and gifted, talented, creative, and advanced learner. You can see that you can find him through the website, his website under you can see him under the screen. Okay, welcome again, Dr. Richard, and the black form is your now.
So what would you like me to talk about?
Okay, I want to talk about the E3 model. Okay.
All right, so let's see here. I gotta adjust my screen here.
Okay,
you need to give me the ability to share
host,
my screen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Make you host.
No, just go under screen share screen, and say, I think there's a click that says, there you go. Okay. Got it. All right. Well, this was a session that I gave to the International Center for Innovation in Education. I gave it several weeks ago. And just quickly, what the design is based on the model of curriculum and how we can advance it up for our more advanced level students. So basically, your curriculum is divided into 3 categories. You have what is called factual knowledge, and that's just the facts, vocabulary, the names, the dates, the times, and so forth. And that's what we want our kids to know. So to learn that type of information, we basically do it through repetition. To assess that kind of information, it's usually a paper and pencil test. So it's not really that interesting to learn factual level information. The next level up in what I call cognitive load is where you have what is called procedural knowledge. And procedural knowledge are the skills and the strategies that we learn within disciplines. This is what we want our kids to be able to do. To learn that way, you practice it. Some kids need more, some kids need less. The idea here is for advanced learners is we want to increase the level of what is called complexity in this type of practice. So again, to assess that, we have to observe kids doing it. We see reports of how they've done certain things and so forth. The highest level of cognition is what is called conceptual knowledge. And conceptual knowledge includes concepts, generalizations, principles, and theory. Now, theory typically in the K-12 setting is learned as a fact. So we have the theory of evolution by natural selection. So we just teach it as a fact. But really what we're talking about in the K-12 setting are concepts, those big ideas, generalizations, how we view the world, and then principles, the rules then that we can attach to those things called concepts. This is what we want our kids to understand. And so this model that I've created is how do we give kids different types of experiences and that they are working authentically so that they come to a greater understanding of this thing that we call concepts. So when we're working with our most advanced level students, we're really wanting to make sure that we're spending more of our time in the higher part of this pyramid rather than the lower part of the pyramid. We want them to be focusing their attention at the conceptual knowledge level. So we have to understand that in the classroom, there are 3 different levels that are going on in our classroom as well. So we have a subject like math, then there's a discipline like algebra, and then there's a unit of study. Okay, so the discipline is a subset to a subject. The unit is to help us acquire that discipline within that subject. So here's another example. So English language arts, literature is the discipline, the unit of study is poetry. So what I did is I turned that on its side. And I said, okay, how do I help our advanced level learners to go deeper into the units of, or the subjects, the units of study, and the discipline? So we're in science. The discipline is going to be astronomy. The unit of study is the solar system. So the big idea that we're working on here is the concept of systems. So to enrich an experience for kids, I'm going to focus it within the very small part of a unit of study. So in this case, we're studying the solar system. Well, my advanced level learners already know there are 9 planets. They know that we revolve around the sun, and there's a moon, and there are multiple moons for Saturn. They already know that. So what I want them to do is I want them to go into a deeper investigation. And so in that case, I'm going to have my most advanced level learners be focusing in on comets and how comets impact our solar system, or how comets are impacting our solar system. So they were going to look at something very narrow that we're not necessarily going to cover with the general population. Then there's an extension. So this gets a little bit broader now. And now we're starting to work within the discipline. And so what I'm going to have kids do is investigate famous or controversial astronomers and what impact did they have on like the scientific systems or the political systems or economic systems. Now, if I want to broaden it out even further to have even a greater challenge, I'm going to go into enhancements. An enhancement is where I'm going to connect the subject of science to another subject area. In this case, I'm going to connect it to literature or to English language. And I'm going to have kids investigate constellations as a system and how they lent themselves towards the understanding of mythology. So what I did, and I'm just going to show you here some examples what I've done is in the handout, there are many, many different examples there that you can see. What you need to pay attention to is that you focus on the big idea first. So the big idea are the understandings, whether it be a concept, a generalization, or a principle. Then we have to really investigate, why does this content matter? What makes it relevant to the learner? How does it connect to the learner? And finally, we want to investigate the products having value or being meaningful to other people rather than the teacher. This is all we want to make sure that their products that they're creating go out. And so here, an example in math, the discipline is algebra. The unit of study is ratio and proportion. And ratio and proportion is also the concept that we're working on. So in enrichment, very narrow, we're going to have kids investigate how ratio and proportions are used in our daily lives. And then they need to create a way to share that information with other students. It might be through a lesson, it could be through a picture book. So you give the students an opportunity to be creative in investigating how they might want to share it to someone else. We're going to move into the discipline now, because this is the extension. So they're going to research how mathematicians or statisticians use ratio and proportion, because that's the disciplinarian within that discipline, algebra. And they're going to create a job posting for mathematician or statistician and use that to then craft out what courses should be taken in high school, what courses should be taken in college to ultimately become a mathematician or statistician. The highest one, now we're going to connect math to something else. And in this way, we're going to look at it as propaganda. So how can we use ratio and proportion to distract or distort information? And so then what we want kids to do then is be able to help people understand how to figure out ratio and proportion by creating an app that helps people interpret that. Let me show you another example here. I'm going to use fairy tales. So fairy tales, it's English language arts. We're in literature is the discipline. Fairy tales is the unit of study. It's also the concept. Are tales. Tales is the concept.
Yes.
Okay? So here we're going to have kids collect different examples of Cinderella across different cultures, and they're going to create a poster then for the library to show how each of these tales promotes a lesson, because that's really what we want kids to learn. The extension is they're going to compare and contrast how different fairy tales are used in different cultures. And then from your findings, create and implement a way that help others understand the importance of fairy tales. And finally, we're going to broaden it out into journalism. So we're going, or into publication. And so they're going to look around themselves in their world and then create a fairy tale based on their life experiences and propose that, and then create a book for younger students. And it could be a book, it could be a play, it could be a movie, whatever they chose to do to help kids understand the importance of fairy tales. So again, there's many examples in the handout there, but the idea is that this model can be used if you are pulling kids out of the class. So let's say you've got a gifted pullout. You could use this in your pullout. It could be something that's pushed in. So let's say you're a gifted specialist and you get pushed into the classroom. And so you're assisting in the classroom with the other teacher. You can use it if you're a general education teacher and you've got kids that test out or are compacted out. So this would be a replacement for that particular activity. You could create these for learning centers, whether they be virtual or real, in person. You could make them as centers. They can also be a station rotation within your classroom. You also might want to use this with all of your students. So it could be an end of term project for all kids. So in this case, you might want to use the enrichment for the kids that need the most supports, the extension for the kids that are on grade level, and the enhancements for those kids that are above grade level. So it's a pretty flexible model that can help kids get deeper into the content.
Okay. I think it is very useful E3 model to use with talented and gifted students. By summarizing your talks, I can say that differentiating up deal with current curriculum and enriches, extends, and enhances it. Okay, and allows the gifted students to think out of the box. Mm-hmm. Yes, and yes. To be knowledge producers, as well as they focus on the interest of gifted demand. Mm-hmm. As I see your examples for the E3 model. Okay, I would like to thank you for your lecture and your presentation, and I hope to see you in future as soon as possible.
Yes, I would love to come to Israel. So I would really enjoy that.
Okay, you are welcome. Thank you, Dr. Richard, and see you soon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.